season of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
This is our beginning episode for season 3.
Or episode 47 if you're counting.
And I'm psyched about it because this season starts live episodes every single week, as opposed to the last 2 seasons where we were sometimes live, whatever, if we kind of sort of felt like it.
So guess what, suckers? For the next 20 some odd episodes, you gotta look at this.
Well, you kind of had to look at this a lot anyway.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying now they have to look forward to this every week.
And live, basically.
And live, basically.
By the way, I warned you guys that that music was going to just show up, and you knew it was going to happen at 9. So, you can't blame us for that music. You guys got to start getting used to it, because we were using it by the end of last season.
Yeah.
So just realize that once airtime starts...
Like, that's pretty much our intro theme.
For the time being, yeah.
As far as that goes.
So, yeah, I'm really, really excited. What am I excited about, though? Help me figure out what I'm excited about.
Well, we have an event coming up.
Well, we do have an event coming up. I don't know if some of you guys were out at MagFest these last 3 years, but we're running yet another Nerf War. This one, obviously, is not at MagFest because it's not MagFest time, though I'm sure we will do another one at MagFest. But we're doing it here in San Antonio, where we are. That's going to be... Thank you. That's going to be in a couple of Saturdays. What is the exact Saturday?
On the 29th.
The 29th at 3 p.m. At San Pedro Park. That's going to specifically be for our convention event, the Southwest Animation and Gaming Expo. In fact, we'll have pre-registration for the Southwest Animation and Gaming Expo there on site. Most of the staff will be there. It's not really where I was going. Most of the rules that we used from the MagFest Nerf Wars are carrying over to this Nerf War event. So if you are in the Texas area, or if for some reason you want to travel a really long distance just to have like a
that's your thing, man. If you want to do it, feel free.
2 or 3 hour Nerf War with us. By the way, it's all ages. We'll go ahead and link you guys to that Facebook event page where you can RSVP. I mean, you don't have to RSVP, but it does kind of help us figure out just what numbers we need to accommodate for.
And like she said, it's more or less the same rules. Dress comfortably, no shooting in the face, keep dick shots to a minimum, the stuff you would be used to.
Right. So let me kind of talk about what it is that we're going to be talking about this week before we get too far ahead of ourselves, because there's a lot. In a number of ways, like Josh has said before in the past, we picked a hell of a week, a hell of a time period to go off air.
I know I end up saying that after every break we take, and I guess it's just the way it works. It's kind of like a Tumblr post I saw earlier about Twitch playing Pokemon. When you go to watch it, it's like, oh, they're still stuck in this room. Oh, there's the Helix fossil again. Great. And then you leave for about a day, and then you come back, and then they've beaten 8 gym bosses. They've gotten as many badges as they can possibly get. Pidgeotto has saved the world, or Pidgeot has saved the world. And it's like, what did I miss? So that's what happened to us. We were gone for, 3-4 weeks, and all the news decided to happen. So we're just going to touch on some things real quick, because there's so much to cover as its own segment, making up for the follow-up segment that would normally occur at the top of the show. But then we have some actual stories that we'll get to.
Yeah, so some of those stories include Cartoon Network apparently having let go of a man by the name of Stu Snyder, who made the brilliant decisions to introduce more not-so-cartoon programming to Cartoon Network, and we'll go over the circumstances around that happening.
The next story we'll talk is about, like we said, right after we had let go of last season, Toy Fair happened, Toy Fair 2014, and at Toy Fair 2014 we got to see what we will be able to expect for this coming year as far as Nerf is concerned, and they've got a lot of very awesome weapons coming out, and we're going to talk about some of those.
And to wrap everything up, if you guys have been following me on Twitter or on Tumblr, I'm not happy about this hover hoax thing that has been occurring. And they've continued, despite the fact that they've been proven as fake, they've decided to continue advertising as though they are real, leading people to wonder why the hell are you doing what you're doing.
Just get ready for that last segment, because she's going to go beast mode on what she actually feels about Hover, because what you guys have seen on social media is just the little bit that I've had to hear in person. Not that I disagree with her, I completely agree. It's just going to be a lot. So be ready for that.
So those are the things that are coming up. Why don't we just drop all this stuff that we've...
Yeah, all the news that we could possibly cover.
In fact, so let's recap.
I didn't realize you had a graphic for that. I feel so happy that we have a graphic for that, honestly.
I provide.
Yes, good
I aim
job.
to please.
Good job. Okay, so I'll start with the most popular thing right now, the Flash costume. The CW has started filming for their new Flash series set to premiere later on this year. We've seen pictures, official and on set, of Grant Gustin in suit, and I gotta say, I like the costume. It's not quite fully what the comic book would have you say the Flash is. You know, the colors are a little darker. It's red in the chest area instead of white, but otherwise they got it just about down pat. It's not hella leather like so many live-action renditions of costumes are. It looks breathable. It looks like something... Oh, heaven forbid, he can actually run in this. A lot of people have shown manips on Tumblr of what it would look like in the traditional colors, and I gotta admit, yeah, those traditional colors still work, but here's what I'm thinking. WB has said, at current, that the Flash series has no bearing on the DC live-action movie universe. What I'm thinking is, if this show gets off the ground well enough and gets enough of a fan following, you can't not put the Flash in the movie universe. What I'm thinking they would do is save the traditional color scheme for that. Like, save that costume and just give it the right colors for the movie.
If I can just say, I mean, really, the only problem I have with the suit is, in fact, its color scheme. However, that's not to say that it's completely horrible. Otherwise, it's a very likable, functioning suit.
Yes.
That's really all I have to say on said suit.
The other thing, and I think I mentioned this before, is that John Wesley Shipp, who played the Flash in the original series, has been cast in the show in an unnamed role. Now, you know, just thinking out loud here, what I'm thinking they might do, and I think this would be pretty cool, is that if he's in the show, put him in as a mentor role, specifically as Jay Garrick. Make him the original comic Flash in this series. That way there's this nice... you know, little, okay, we honor that you played this role before, and you're still technically that guy, but now there's this guy.
That would make him potentially the fastest Flash ever, faster than the fastest person on Earth.
Yeah, but it's still giving him cred, though.
Yeah, but it would also kind of be God mode.
Yeah, a little bit, but, you know, what are you gonna do?
Anyway, we got a lot more news. Let's move on to some other news for
another thing to bring up briefly. Batride War 2 was announced. Yes, and it is available for multiple systems. I think we talked about it a little bit, but more information has come out.
Because Batride War, the first one, hi Cat, was something that Josh decided he had to get. He had to order it as soon as it came out for PlayStation 3, you know. You imagine this is like the Dynasty Warriors of Kamen Rider games.
Yes.
I think the only disappointing thing about the first game was that it was only single player. Like, not being able to run through missions with a friend is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, and
do we know whether or not the second one is...
As far as we know now, no, that will not be possible.
Why wouldn't they include that? That's
I don't know.
ridiculous.
I honestly don't know. There's still room to grow, though. Granted, it's a year later. They're adding more writers. This one is a little bit more based in the movie wars and movies that have been made for writers, like, say, Double A to Z or Wizard and Magic Land, things like that. But really, what I'm still holding out for is that they still haven't done a version with the Showa writers. That I would want to see some teaming up.
Yeah, you would
that's
imagine,
where I would most want it.
Because they technically exist all in the same universe and have teamed up before previously, and it was like a common occurrence, and yeah, they enjoyed teaming up with each other to save the day.
Yeah.
So why would fans not also enjoy teaming up with one another to stop evil from occurring?
I don't know why. I'm only hoping that they're putting that off so they can put finishing touches on it. That way, when that comes out, that's the best product they could possibly put out.
Right.
That's just my hope. But, that's as much news as exists on that. Another thing to bring up was that, lo and behold, Scarlett Johansson got pregnant. And as such, her involvement in Avengers Age of Ultron, her filming specifically, has been moved up to the beginning of next month. She wasn't actually to be on set for a little bit after that, maybe about a couple of weeks to a month or so, but now, of course, with the...
Well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, now it's been moved up to April. Now, the thing is, she's already... I believe it's, a month, 2 months along?
Yeah, so they gotta get this done quick.
I'm even wondering, I guess April was the soonest it could happen, because by a certain point, she'll start showing, and yeah, she's noticeably in a skin-tight outfit.
Because I know you're saying that they're gonna work on her shots specifically. Well, what about shots with her and the other cast members?
I don't know. Really, I would think that would have to push up the entire shoot. To
Thanks
work its
solely to her daring to choose to have a child. How dare she?
Now, it
does really put a stress on the entire production. It really does.
The reason for that being is several interviews have come out with people involved with the movie, from Joss Whedon and other members of the cast, saying that her role is actually fairly larger in Age of Ultron. So this really must have screwed things over for,
I would imagine,
for Marvel.
Do you imagine that they would have to do rewrites in some situations solely for that reason?
I don't know. I mean, it still remains to be seen, because, to be honest, we don't entirely know the plot of Age of Ultron yet. All that we know is that we have Ultron as a villain, we have Baron Strucker, we more or less know which heroes are going to be in there. The rest is to be revealed.
I would just imagine that, especially in most of her shots with other cast members, they're going to be shooting about from chest up.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
But I don't really think anybody's going to complain. I mean, that's just the only thing I'd say. Give her curly hair back. All right, just an idea. I don't think the straight hair.
Let's
works.
move on to something else.
Well, actually, on a similar note, you will be able to see her in a few weeks in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. As it stands right now, the current story, and this could change over the next day or two, is that the third Captain America movie will be the Marvel movie that will go up directly against Batman vs. Superman in 2016. Now, both sides have said we're not backing down from that date. Really, Marvel had it first. They had already said, hey, we've got a stake in this date. We haven't said what movie yet, but we're going to have a Marvel movie on this day. And WB was the one saying, okay, well, we can't have Batman vs. Superman ready for 2015. We'll push it back to this next year. Oh, look, it's the same day as your movie. So Marvel and DC will be in direct competition on that day.
Feuding. That's awesome.
Now, the thing about it is I don't see how Marvel will succeed in that right unless, heaven forbid, Batman vs. Superman looks like it's really gonna suck. Because, yeah, when you think about it, it's a sequel. People love sequels, but at the same time, we'll have already seen Captain America, 3 times by that point?
Exactly, yeah.
And we'll be wanting to see Batman fight Superman for the first time. So I think, the leverage goes to DC on that.
I would agree. Of course, we still haven't seen any photos of Batman. We still really have no idea what this plot really consists of. I'm almost still under the assumption that they're just going to very quietly turn it into a Justice League movie without really telling anybody.
Right, because even now, at the beginning of this season, we still don't have an official title. The working title is still Batman vs. Superman.
And if they do just quietly turn it into a Justice League movie, then absolutely, I think everybody's just going to want to figure out whether or not it ended up being good. Everyone's going to be psyched to see it, again, whether it looks good or not.
And the whole thing is, the only picture that we have of anything is a few pictures, or really one picture, of Gal Gadot training, and we see a little bit of definition on her bicep. And that's nice and all. It's good to know that she's trying to, work out to get in shape for the role. My only thing, and I think of a couple of other people have brought this up, is that muscle isn't the same necessarily as bulk.
Right.
And I bring up, say, Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire, when he was Spider-Man, was bulky, kind of almost to the point of being chubby,
which was
strong.
not really appropriate for that character.
Right, which is why Andrew Garfield works better, because he's more lean, strong, muscular build, which is more in keeping with the Ultimate Comics. It makes more sense there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would hope that she's supplementing the weight training, the strength training with weight training for bulk's sake, and that way we can see maybe a little bit closer to what the comics would expect Wonder Woman to look like.
Well, let's move on to another story.
And just for a second, we might end up talking about this more later, once more information comes out, but who knew Shaq Fu was coming back?
Who could have guessed?
Because, I don't know if you guys played Shaq Fu, and I don't know if you guys know how bad that thing was, but it was pretty bad. Well, guess what? Shaq got in on his own Indiegogo with some other game creators, and they're making another one.
Well, they promised that this one...
They swear up and down.
They won't foo this one up, is what they say.
Yeah, they won't foo this one up. They're swearing up and down that it's a much better fighter,
well,
that it's a lot more...
They definitely have the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing just how bad the original Shaq Fu for Genesis and SNES was. And really, the artistic style that I'm seeing, and who knows whether or not this is going to change, is looking very... Street Fighter 4 or Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
I was going to say Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Very watercolored
yeah.
in character design and in health meter and other statistics. That's kind of the impression I'm getting from it. And I don't know if you guys saw their trailer for their crowdfunding, but Shaq Fu's claiming he's got all these moves, and one of them is something like this.
Oh yeah, just moving his hands around and having to blur out the cup of the drink that he has because, copyright. But the only thing I'm thinking is, how are they going to build this thing once should it actually, because as far as I know, it hasn't been funded yet. But should this thing actually get out, what are we going to see in the future? Hey, pre-order at GameStop and you can get the DLC of the Shazam costume. Pre-order at Walmart.
You would have to license from who published Shazam? Who?
I don't know, but I assume by now they've hidden themselves deep within the earth to never be found again.
No, well, I just want to know what movie studio had the rights to Shazam, because I can't remember.
The only thing I remember about Shazam is that Taco Bell had a tie-in kids meal. That's all I remember.
Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about something else.
We'll talk about something else. A lot of people by this point have seen the Lego movie, decent movie, very nice movie. I was satisfied with it. Well, Warner Brothers decided, you know what, we're going to build off this and make a Minecraft movie.
Yes, because there's totally plot relevancy in the Minecraft universe.
Kazam, that's what I meant, Kazam.
Yeah, Kazam. Whatever, same difference.
Okay, same difference. Well, point being, Minecraft, stop me if I'm wrong, there is kind of a storyline in the game?
No.
No?
No.
Well, there's at least Endgame, right?
Yes,
Endgame.
they have inserted Endgame where you go into the nether world or the nether realm and you beat a dragon. There's no story. There is no story. Granted, there's no real story in Lego. The thing is, Lego is able to license all of these different characters from different properties.
Right.
Whereas Minecraft, yeah, you see people running around with whatever skin they choose. I personally run around as Luca from Chrono Trigger. But that doesn't mean that Minecraft licensed those characters,
Right.
So, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna make this completely about Steve? Because...
Are we gonna follow one sheep around?
One sheep...
running from creepers for 2 hours?
Trying to avoid getting bit by spiders, and, I can't even imagine. I can't imagine a Minecraft movie. It is almost so open world with no point that I really just can't even begin to imagine
Well,
what
see,
it would be.
the problem with that is that since there's so much openness to Minecraft as an intellectual property, technically they could write just about anything. There's just certain things you have to get right, like it has to involve mining and building.
I just imagine that being so boring.
Well, how do you make that interesting? Well, how did they make Lego interesting? They had to invent a character.
They had to have master builders who were able to flop things together in about 2 seconds. Whereas, when you're mining, because it's not as easy as Legos, because Lego gives you all the parts necessary and then you just build.
Right.
Whereas in Minecraft, if you're at least doing survival mode, because that's the main gameplay and not just creation mode where you can spawn whatever blocks you want, in survival mode, it's like you gotta dig out the block you want first. You gotta get lucky and find the blocks you want, like diamonds.
Right.
Then you get to build, and then you're like, man, I just ran out of diamonds. Dig, 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 dig. You gotta go dig some more. Like, I can't. I can't fathom. I really can't.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can actually come up with a decent movie for that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we were going to talk about for right now is apparently there is a countdown right now on the official Sailor Moon website that which is 8 days. 8 days.
Something will be revealed or something.
Hopefully pertaining to the new anime. And there are images there on the site. Certain parts are grayed out. We still have yet to see what this is exactly.
We still don't know what this new anime is technically going to look like.
Well, if I'm reading current information correctly, it's going to be called Pretty Guardian Sailor Moon Crystal.
Okay. Fine. Whatever. Like, we've been waiting so long for this thing that if this is not good, I will revolt. I don't really know what I'm revolting against. I guess Toei.
Toei or, like, revolting against
or TV
Queen Beryl?
Tokyo. No, because they would have created her.
Okay.
So, no. Are we going to talk about any of these? Because the list of things that we missed is really big.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can just mention at length.
Or you mean briefly?
Well, yeah, briefly, a little bit of length. Of course, we talked about a little bit of Twitch Plays Pokemon. Of course, I would be remiss to mention the new Batman Arkham Knight game that's coming out purely for next gen later this year. I had asked you several times last season, what is it going to be that will take you to the next gen? And you said this is probably it.
No, I said Kingdom Hearts 3 was going to be
Oh, right.
Okay,
well, this will be for me then.
Yes.
I will go next gen with Arkham Knight. You will go next gen with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
They brought back Kevin Conroy, thank God, because, he is Batman.
A thing that came out while we were off the air was The Wind Rises. Was good movie. Got no recognitions at Oscars. What else?
A little upset about how that happened. There were new members of the Doctor Who cast for this coming season.
We don't have any sort of reference as to who they are or how much they matter.
Yeah, because they're new characters and we have yet to get a trailer.
There's a new Constantine TV series that there's photos of now.
And dude actually looks like Constantine and not like Keanu Reeves. Good for him.
There's a new parody Sentai series called Kanpai Senshi After 5. And they like to drink a whole bunch of beer and sing karaoke. That looks funny to me. Potentially more funny than Akiba Ranger was. Because I don't necessarily need to enjoy the history of Sentai to enjoy making fun of Sentai.
And speaking of stuff that wasn't unintentionally funny, the new Transformers trailer came out with Mark Wahlberg and his what is his character's name?
I don't know, but he thinks he's Texan, and then he has this quote about, there's a saying about messing with people from Texas, and here I am sitting and thinking, no, you stupid idiot, that don't mess with Texas thing, that's a slogan about not littering.
Yeah.
Stop it. Shut up. I don't care what his name is. Don't bother.
No, it's like a really stupid name.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what else is a stupid name?
What is?
Transformers by Michael Bay. Okay?
Transformers Age of Extinction,
whatever. Conan O'Brien and his Clueless Gamer, he did a review of WWE 2K14. That was
You ended up getting it.
You ended up going halvesies on it.
Yeah, I admit, because I
did it out of character creation, solely for character creation, and to see cartoon characters fight video game characters.
And are you happy with that purchase?
Yeah, I just sit and watch it. Like, I don't play it. I sit and watch them wrestle each other.
Right, and then I guess the last thing we'll mention for this is the new Godzilla trailer, which looks so good. I am so happy that it looks the way it does. It looks dark. It looks... he looks menacing, and there was, of course, this new footage that they showed at South by Southwest this past week of what we're assuming is the first full reveal of Godzilla there in the movie, and a little bit of footage of these Muto monsters.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to have gotten the tone just right. They still say there's a lot that we haven't seen yet, but that information will be coming out, and it's only a few weeks, when you really think about it, it's about 10 weeks away, maybe less, so it'll be here before you...
Actually, Godzilla's coming. He's coming quick.
Yeah, and there will be nothing you can do to stop him.
Still sort of wish there was some suit movement, but yeah, I'm sure it'll still be a good movie.
They're very much saying that it lives up to the hype that they're creating, and from these, recent trailers and now all the reports that are pouring in from South by Southwest, I'm very much looking forward to this movie, even more so than I did before.
Alright, so we should actually move on to, the real stories we wanted to go more in-depth with. So, goodbye recap, and hello, Snyder.
Really, it's more goodbye, Snyder.
We mentioned this briefly, of course, at the top of the show. Stu Snyder was brought in sometime around 2007. And for some reason they thought he would be a good choice and that Cartoon Network needed some changes made to their programming. And Stu Snyder's decision was that Cartoon Network needed more live action stuff. And so, the last several years of Cartoon Network, in personal opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of other people, really, really suffered. So, back in 2009, a whole bunch of things were announced. There were a bunch of alternative live-action series. There was something called The Othersiders, Survive This, Destroy, Build, Destroy. That's one I specifically remember. Yeah. Head Rush. Dude, What Would Happen? A whole bunch of things that, I totally didn't give a crap about. The one and only thing I'm seeing under, live action and animated original movies, specifically the live action part, that I thought actually did a pretty decent job was, the Ben 10 movie.
Yeah, Ben 10 Alien Swarm.
Ben 10 Alien Swarm.
Now, even by current tokusatsu standards in Japan, that was a decent show, and I don't even really watch Ben 10, but I was watching Cartoon Network one day, and I saw the commercial for this thing, and I'm like, huh, this actually looks decent. And having gone and watched at least half of it, yeah, they did a fairly solid job, with the effects, with the storytelling, and actually the other one that they should have there on the list, Scooby-Doo The Mystery Begins, I actually prefer that over the Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr. live-action versions.
Yeah,
they actually,
yes, but honestly,
it's a little more modern, but hey, at least that was based off something that was a cartoon. That made sense.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Scooby-Doo fan, but, I get it. Well, apparently, it's not just that Stu Snyder stepped down. Apparently, it's more of a letting him go sort of a decision, and it has to do with sales and distribution. Apparently this was not working, and they were recognizing that his decisions were not working.
No, really? Not showing cartoons on Cartoon Network didn't work?
Well, it's sort of like not showing sci-fi stuff on sci-fi. What is sci-fi?
Yeah, but nobody's getting in trouble for it. Well, no, they still show enough sci-fi stuff to be called the Sci-Fi Network.
Well, Cartoon Network still shows enough cartoons to be called Cartoon Network.
Apparently not, because he got fired.
Well, how come Sci-Fi can't come to that decision? How come MTV can't come to that decision? Where's the music, MTV? I don't want to start this argument again, alright? We've been having this argument for years.
10 plus years
This is why I kicked you out of my house. And I'm not taking you back until you bring back music. Of course, I'm not taking television back until I have money. So
it'll be a month or two. But point being, these decisions that he made, or that he was, tied back to, of not having as much cartoon in Cartoon Network as much as this live action stuff, finally didn't pan out, because what was working on Cartoon Network during this time, biggest shows, Regular Show and Adventure Time, cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see, Regular Show and Adventure Time stuff all over Hot Topic, plenty of fan art. It's gotten really popular, these two shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know what didn't get popular? Any of that other crap.
Really, I'm reading off this list of stuff that got announced back in 2009, and I'm just kind of like...
Now, scroll up on this list. Scroll up on this list to the cartoons that were supposed to come out in this time. Adventure Time.
Well, there's Symbionic Titan.
Symbionic Titan. Scooby-Doo Mystery Inc., which is fine. It's just like a basic update of Scooby-Doo.
Right.
In the same vein as Mystery Begins. Generator Rex didn't take off because, again...
Total Drama Action. They've done several Total Drama series.
Yeah. But you see there was a push for some new content, and they could have backed that better, but they were really... If you remember these commercials, like, we would be sitting in Cece's Pizza, and they've always got, like, one TV tuned into Cartoon Network.
And one TV tuned into sports, and one TV tuned into news.
Right. Every time we would go, we would always see this live action stuff. And it's like, well, where are the cartoons?
And what's funny is actually we're reading off these names of these cartoons, and I remember the names of the cartoons. I don't remember the names of hardly any of those live action series.
Because I remember Symbionic Titan.
Yeah,
I know
of
Generator Rex. I'm aware of Total Drama Action. Because, I remember the cartoons on Cartoon Network. It only makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So... Thanks for the departure, Stu. I don't know where you're going. I partially don't really care unless you stick your hands in some other business where it doesn't belong. Really, I don't know that I have much more to elaborate upon, which is fine.
The only thing I can say is I hope this means better days for Cartoon Network.
I hope so. I mean, if you think about it, really, Adult Swim has been doing quite well.
Oh, yeah,
as
especially
of late with Toonami. Toonami coming back, and especially in the time block that it came back in, I think it was really good timing. I think it's a really good choice of the time to air certain animated series where they've put them. They're bringing Symbionic Titan back, if they didn't already this past week. I think they already...
I think it was this past week.
Where they re-aired...
They're re-airing the one season. I would hope that maybe with this guy gone, we can get season 2, because that story needed to continue.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was one of those cases where they just had to kind of wrap it up in a little bitty bow because that's all you got for airtime. But, hopefully now that this guy's gone, we can actually have somebody in there to make decisions that are more pro-quality cartoons.
Yes.
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 Okay, so moving on to our second story. As I said before, right after last season ended, Toy Fair 2014 happened, and this is where you can see a lot of stuff that's been licensed for the coming year, in anything from your next live-action television property, your next movie property, all of the tie-in toys.
This is like the E3 of toys.
Yes, I've been wanting to go to Toy Fair pretty much since I knew Toy Fair existed, back when when Toy Fair, F-A-R-E, magazine came out, a spinoff of Wizard magazine, and they would do, look at what we got from Toy Fair, and my eyes just dilate, and I would see all of these wonderful play sets and action figures, and you can go to any number of sites and see the stuff that was put out. Specifically, what we want to talk about is the Nerf lines and what they've got to offer this coming year.
You guys see this image that I posted up here. This is what's the name of this particular weapon? The Demolisher.
Yes, the Demolisher. This is introducing a new kind of ammunition really, basically, it's a grenade launcher in the front.
Basically.
And the first Nerf blaster that will be using a banana clip, which to me is just awesome. Like
these weapons, we've been saying this.
Ever since the zombie line,
looking more and more realistic as time goes on.
Yes, and I should have given you the rest of these pictures, but what they're coming out with just blows my mind and gives me pain in the wallet so bad. Because they've got this one coming out here, which basically looks like an AK-47.
I can't wait until we start seeing these show up at MagFest at our Nerf Wars.
Yes, I am very much.
What is this mask thing? Oh man, now, I wish you had given me that.
What this is right here, and I'm showing Kaylin, and if I can, I'll put a link there in the chat. There are also, of course, tie-ins to movies, like I said, and one of those movies being Guardians of the Galaxy, coming out this summer. Well, Guardians of the Galaxy, specifically for the character of Star-Lord, will have his own Nerf blaster. 2 of them, really. A full-size Nerf blaster, which is this cool little dual... really, it looks like it's 2 dart holds, but when you open it up, it expands to 4. And then they've got a smaller...
You're holding right here in the middle... 2 barrels down here and 2 barrels up here above the grip.
Like, I'll go ahead and give you guys the link to the page where I'm looking at these pictures. And, yeah, you'll be able to see here all of these wonderful, wonderful weapons that I'm talking about. Now, the Quad Blaster, that's what it's called. Now, this mask that Kaylin's referring to, if you go down below that, they have a smaller version of the Quad Blaster that comes with a Star-Lord mask.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, has the eyes... with a little bit of film over them, so you could probably wear this to the Nerf War were you to come out.
Yeah, like, wear it and protect your eyes, which is something we want to start implementing, actually, within our Nerf Wars.
Like, this is perfect.
Provide people with
safety wear for their eyes, yes. And this is perfect. This is Nerf on the go right here. You can just take it and just run out into battle. And then, of course, we've got the Rebel line...
The Rebel line's looking pretty sweet, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm still not a huge fan of the paint job of every single one of them, but they're solid-looking weapons.
Now they've got this bow here, the Rebel Agent bow.
Actually, both the dudes and the chicks have similar bows, in that they work very much like legit bows, where you pull back on the string, you have to create that tension in the string, and then let it go and the dart will fly.
Yes. And admittedly, I'm not gonna lie, I like the design of the Rebel bow more than the Mega Dart bow. Now that Mega Dart bow looks like it's gonna do some serious damage, because it looked like a dang blaster. It just happens to be a bow, and it works exactly the same way. And I know some of you here are seeing what we're getting a little excited about. Droids, basically. These armored
is exciting
walkers.
To me.
Later out this year for about $80, give or take, so start saving now, what they're calling Nerf combat creatures, which is these little spider-legged robots.
They have 4 legs, right?
Yeah, 4 legs.
So they're kind of walking like...
Full rotation turrets. Able to shoot 45 feet. These things are fairly decent, and I want one so bad. I mean, I can only hope, like, say, you know, a year, or I guess less than a year into the future, Nerf War, we see these things on the battlefield. Like, if you don't want to actually come outside and participate in the cold, you have these things like freaking AT-ATs. Like, you're controlling them from inside the hallway, trying to step forward and shoot at one of us.
They don't say there just how far the distance of remote controlling this thing is.
No, they haven't released that information just yet. But I imagine it's about the same as your average RC car.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you know, people mod guns. You can certainly mod how strong a remote is.
Now, granted, these things don't march very fast. That doesn't mean it's not cool as hell.
Right.
Very, very cool. Just, there is weapon after weapon after weapon that they've debuted here. And they're all... some of them are very reminiscent of previous models that they've launched, but they're all... relatively new molds and very cool looking.
And of course the Zombie Strike line has this new Slingfire gun, which is basically lever action. I want that's the as soon as I see that, it's mine. And if I'm not mistaken, it is a Target exclusive, much like the Sledgefire that you got.
Right. That one was my absolute must-have, the Sledgefire, because it functions so much like an actual shotgun.
And this one, it's the first lever action that they've done for Nerf, and of course the Zombie Strike has other ones coming out. They've even got this little, not quite Derringer one for it, but it's basically like the Jolt, but shoots two, but it's hammer action, not a plunger. That one is another one that'll be on the list. That one's going to be easy to conceal. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying you probably will. And then they've got this other very expensive Elite semi-automatic, which has a built-in little webcam that you can use to record your battles. I would think that's right up our alley. Now, admittedly, this thing's... I think they only said it's 4 or less than 4 megapixels. It's kind of low.
Yeah, well, what do you expect when it's on a toy? You know, you don't want to put an expensive piece of equipment on a toy.
That in and of itself is what drives up the price on that. That they have this piece of technology built into the gun.
Shoot, I would take it without that technology, and take it for the lower price, and instead use that thing they already sell, which settles on the rail on top of...
Oh, the iPhone docking thing?
The docking thing. Of course, I wish they would make, other model phone docks as well, but it's a very cool place to start.
And the other thing to bring up is that for the upcoming animated series for Star Wars Rebels, they will have... Basically, it's a Stormtrooper's gun, and that will be Nerf ready. It's got a collapsible stock. Most people do end up getting Nerf Star Wars guns anyway and repainting them because they're pretty close, to the show models. And I think you said you wanted that one because they also are making the hero masks for that of Stormtroopers and Mandalorian warriors and other things like that. So, yeah, those are other things that we'll be seeing people use in Nerf battle this coming year.
I'm excited about seeing it all
very
come
excited.
Together.
Now, mind you, the price range on these varies, from gun to gun. The smaller ones, of course, $10 and lower. For most of these guns, you're going to have to put up between $20 to $40 for most of these. The, what was the name? The Demolisher, that's supposed to be about, I believe they said 35. That sounds about decent for a first run.
That's not bad, actually, especially considering the kind of ammo it takes. Brand new ammo that you're probably only going to get a few of those darts in that box.
Well, the banana clip, it takes, your regular Elite darts. That's an 18 clip.
I'm talking about those, what are those grenade-style darts called?
They're just calling them Nerf grenades.
Oh, well, whatever.
Those, or missile, I think it's a missile.
Because there's already the super awesome huge missile that came with
the rocket is basically
the
what
rocket
that is.
That came with the Titan back in the day.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that thing only came with the one dart. And good luck finding more of those darts because it's not like they sold them on shelves. You'd have to basically special order them off Nerf's website.
Which is kind of what they want you to do.
So hopefully, those grenades are going to be in better supply than the super huge foam missiles.
I would almost think that kind of like real gun nuts are going to have to start hoarding those as soon as they hit shelves. They'll probably only come in like packs of like 3 or 5, only a few to a pack. The other thing I noticed is that these Rebel guns, they're definitely pushing for a kind of spy motif. Aside from the bow, and the design is very lightweight now. Because the thing I've noticed before is that the Rebel line, and Kalen, you have several of them, and you've let me use them. The weight distribution is a lot better than most other guns. Like, you can twirl a lot easier. They feel a lot more comfortable in your hand. Well, now they've kind of gone for this very lightweight cross-section sort of design, which really reduces the amount of plastic you use in the mold. But I wonder if that is going to make the line suffer at all. Make it less taken seriously, so to speak.
Oh, well, it just needs a new paint job, really.
Well, I mean, aside from the paint job, I mean, like, right here in the handle for this Rebel Messenger, like, that less plastic there means it'll melt easier. Like, say if you accidentally left it in the car,
Well,
That
you
could
better not friggin' do that, because you should not be leaving your Nerf weapons in the car anyway, because that'll make, like, the barrel and your darts warp.
right, exactly.
So, no, forget it. Just don't be an idiot.
Yeah, so that specifically for the Rebel Messenger, I'm worried about. For these other ones, like the Rapid Red and the Spylight, those seem to be a little more solid in design, and I'm sure those will be just fine. I would think people would prefer to, give their custom paint jobs to those in particular.
Yeah, I would agree.
But really, this is all that Nerf has to offer. A lot of the stuff is specifically for the fall line. So you guys have, what?
More than 6
5,
months.
6 months to start saving up and have these things ready. Because, yeah, we want to see you, and you guys probably want to see us use these come next MagFest.
Yeah, and I love that sometimes it feels like we're kind of debuting these weapons for the first time, because people bring all these weapons that, like down here in Texas, we get them sometimes slower than other regions do.
Sometimes up to a month and a half later. So, and we brought this up before. The first time we went and saw this was not this past year, but the year before, when we saw the rough cut for the first time. And that blew our minds.
Well, we found the
box.
cardboard box in the trash, and we were like, somebody has this. Are they bringing it to our war? And sure enough, somebody brought the thing, and we were like, oh my god, this is amazing. And we didn't see it back here in town for
another
while.
At least 2 months for that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I got mine. So you go get yours.
So really, we have one more news story, and we should probably get to that while we still have a little bit of airtime
Okay,
left.
so I warned you guys ahead of time how this was going to go. So I'll set it up, and I'll let her loose.
Uh-huh.
So people had been following this for a little bit. It kind of gotten under the radar until the big announcement happened, but let's recap for those of you not quite in the know. So, a company by the name of Hovertech.
Spelled capital H, capital U, capital V, lowercase r.
Decided to make their presence known to the world. That they had been working on some stuff. Stuff that a lot of people would find nostalgic. Specifically, technology from the movie Back to the Future 2. Now, for a lot of people, Back to the Future is very much the 80s. You think of the 80s and movies, you think Back to the Future. You think of a more innocent time. You think of hope for the future. Like, oh man, specifically for Back to the Future 2, because that was the first time they went forward in time. Like, oh man, this is the kind of stuff we have to look forward to, like 3D movies and $20 Pepsi.
Because it was like, it was the first time you really felt like, this is the future, it's only so far away, and it's like, this technology is kind of beyond us, but not...
it's still within our grasp,
yeah,
though,
not
in
so
our
far
lifetime.
beyond us that we can't fathom it eventually coming into existence. So this includes, of course, as you see here, the hoverboard. And it's something that as soon as you saw the movie, every single person wanted a hoverboard to be real. Everyone dreamed that the hoverboard could one day become a reality. So out comes this company, Hovertech, and they put out this video. They started a Facebook page months ago.
Months in advance. Like, they were prepping this thing for a while.
And nobody really paid much attention until this video dropped a few weeks back, which brought forth Christopher Lloyd driving the DeLorean.
Well, a DeLorean, not the DeLorean.
A DeLorean. So he steps out and he's like, you know me from Back to the Future, and we always dreamed of a certain reality that came in Back to the Future too. Well, now I'm proud to say that, you know, the dream is real, blah, blah, blah. And he opens up this case, and there's a hoverboard inside. And then these MIT students show up, and they're like, yeah, so here's our hoverboard, it's so awesome. And then they put a whole bunch of celebrities on the hoverboard, and then you're like, whoa, they're floating and stuff, oh, this is awesome, and they're doing all these tricks, and then they're kicking off of something, air, I guess, I don't really know, but they're moving, whoa, and, you know, it looked relatively fake to begin with, and I just sort of wondered, why did they do this? Because they tied it into a very realistic business-looking website. They have, of course, this Facebook fan page.
They actually have several Facebook pages that they update.
I think some of them are fan dickweeds who just sort of decided to make their own pages and play off of the sensationalism that came along with this. So, I mean, clearly this whole thing was a fraud, and very quickly, like within the first day, people were like...
within the first couple of hours, really.
People were...
Two reactions occurred. The first reaction, oh my god, it's here. It's our time now. How much do I need? How much is it? How much is it? Tell me. Oh my god, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna get 2 jobs. I'm gonna get one. I'm getting a hoverboard. I'm gonna get it.
And then the reality sinks in.
And then the second reaction.
Yeah, the reality sinks in. And, like, this was the biggest backfire that this hoax could have possibly thought they were going to get. You know, where people were just mad, livid, absolutely livid that, you know, you can have reboots of movies here and there. You can joke around about stuff. You can make parody videos about stuff. But it was like, when you touched the hoverboard, it was like you touched like the heart and soul of a generation.
You heard the needle skip, you know.
Yeah.
And then stuff got real. Because what ends up happening is their Facebook page, their Twitter page, anywhere that is officially Hover Tech has been inundated with emails and pictures and 4-letter words that I'm not going to say on air. Basically all the rage that people felt that how dare you, 1, try to pull one over on me, and 2, try to lie to anybody else that this stuff was real. Because, yeah, let's face it, if hover technology was available to the mass public, we wouldn't hear about it through a video on Funny or Die. We would have heard about this mess on 60 Minutes, or CNN, or ABC Nightly News.
Because that's how this all got revealed, right? So people saw, like, shadows of a harness set, apparently the same sort of harness set that they used in Back to the Future 2 for the hoverboard scenes. They recognized that the MIT guy on camera was in fact an actor. In fact, he showed up in some Adult Swim stuff in the past. And then they found out that the woman who produced the video has been linked to Funny or Die. And sure enough, like 2 days later, they had to finally they had to backpedal really, really hard. So Tony Hawk comes out and he's like, okay, I'm sorry, we lied about the hoverboard. And he shows actual footage of him in the harness. And then Funny or Die puts out this video featuring Christopher Lloyd, still being tongue-in-cheek, but saying, yes, it was fake. But hey, who wants the hoverboard in the video signed by everybody? So everybody knows that this was a Funny or Die thing. However, for some dumb reason, they keep updating their material over on their Hover Facebook page as though this thing is legit. In fact, they have a friggin' billboard up for some reason with a date, 12/13/14. So this December, something is happening. I know Moby on his Twitter account, because as you can see, he participated in the video. Once he finally was like, alright, it was a hoax, he's like, well, the hardest thing is convincing people that we're not actually trying to sell something else. And I'm sitting here thinking, how can you not be? Why do you still have a date going on? People are convinced that maybe this is a Back to the Future 4, or maybe this is a reboot or something.
Both of which I don't want.
Nobody wants any of these things. Like, again, need I remind you people that people are furious just by touching the hoverboard.
Right.
And so I see over and over and over again that people are saying, I don't care what it is you're advertising. I don't care if you're trying to raise $1 million for me. Whatever it is, I absolutely don't want it just because of this.
Right. Like, people have sworn off whatever it is, sight unseen, because of the fact that they tried to pull this mess. Now, admittedly, this isn't the same as Nike with the power laces, because at least there's some believability to Nike having said, oh yeah, we've been kind of working on that as a shout out to the fans. They already had put out, they've made the shoes before, they just didn't have the technology. They just don't
actually power lace.
Right, but they're saying, one of the heads of Nike said, yes, they are coming. And I'm a little more inclined to believe that, because it doesn't seem that they're trying to pull any thing over on anybody. It just sounds like they're saying, yeah, we're legitimately working on that.
I'm just sort of sitting here wondering, are we just all excited that 2015 is coming? It's the date that Marty arrived in Back to the Future Part 2. Like, are any of these things really coming? Or are all of these different companies all kind of in the same loop of, we're going to release something fan-related, some piece of memorabilia, some new movie, are we all in on it? I just feel like it's something other than actually releasing the technology that we actually wish existed.
Because the way I see it, and I said this much on Tumblr, was that we've had to put up with a lot from the 80s coming back. We had to put up with remakes of RoboCop, Total Recall, Teen Wolf is on TV. All of these things, and we take them in stride. But when it came to this, like I said, the record skipped, and we were like, no, you don't do that. You don't touch that. You don't get somebody I trusted as a kid, Doc Brown, not Christopher Lloyd, because, yeah, he's an actor, but you can't lie to me and say when you saw him on the screen with the hoverboard driving a DeLorean, you automatically put hair back on his head and a lab coat on him, and you saw Doc Brown. And that's like basically watching Santa put coal in your stocking is what this was. Like, it's ruining something that to most people is, of the few things right now, pure. Now, that wasn't allowed for a lot of people. That's why they're saying sight unseen. I don't care what you're saying. I don't care what you're trying to sell me. I don't want it. And come later this year on the 13th of December, yeah, we'll see. And it would have to be something.
It would basically
have to be the hoverboard, yeah.
It would basically have to be some piece of technology from Back to the Future 2's 2015.
Yeah.
It would have to be.
If not, then what was this all for? You got your.
Because for now.
You got your jokes and giggles.
All
great.
I can say I have is this, and for now, I'm satisfied with it. And if I have nothing more than this, then I think I can be happy.
At the end of the day, we at least have this hat. This very awesome hat that she never lets me wear. But because you're very protective of that hat.
Uh-huh. So we have about 2 minutes left of our show. We should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, probably wrap it up.
I wanted to make a quick statement that we're actually looking into providing some of you watching this. You have your own podcasts or you have your own show that perhaps you'd like to get a little bit more exposure. We're considering doing some very brief on-air advertising. I want to get some more information out online a little bit later about that, where we can either read a very brief few seconds of something, or you can pre-record something and submit it to us. And it should probably go in between stories, and it would actually, I think, make our different stories easier to digest by being broken up in such a way, and it'll be very minimalistic and hopefully not get in the way of you enjoying your programming. But we'll have more information about that later, and as I said at the top of the show, I'm very excited that we're back for a third season. We're coming up on 50 episodes, which is really, really
3
exciting.
episodes away.
And every episode from this point on should be live. We'll likely be doing this same day and time every week, more than likely.
Give or take. And we also want to remind you guys, if you stick around after the show is over, we of course do the Q&A for a little bit and talk to you guys one-on-one, take questions, and then kind of shoot the breeze for a bit.
Right, so you guys who are sitting with us right now, don't go anywhere. We're going to talk to you guys, and if you guys are watching on YouTube, get over to us next week so you can talk to us.
But in between that time, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at MarsGirlProd.
So until next week, this has been Beyond the Black Rims, a new season, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.